Third audio, page 72, last paragraph. So I passed the order to my sister and my mother. The rabbit was not to be spoken to nor even looked at. Wrapping it in a piece of flannel, I put it in a dark corner of the cold parlor and put the saucer of milk before its nose. At midday after school, creeping into the front room, there we saw the rabbit still and unmoving in the piece of flannel. It was a sore problem for us. So now then, the narrator, he was the one who took mature enough to take decisions, and he ordered his younger sisters and his mother not to go close to the rabbit. He wrapped the rabbit in something warm, and he wrapped it in a piece of flannel is a material which keeps you warm. And then he put that rabbit in the dark corner of their sitting room, and it also they also he also placed a saucer of milk, so that if in case rabbit felt hungry, it could drink the milk. And then the narrator goes on to say that after they returned from school, they just had half day school, and so when they returned back from school, they all very silently, they wanted to see the rabbit. So very softly and silently they came into their front room, and there they saw, the sight that they saw was there, the rabbit was still in its same position there. It had not moved, and it was still in that piece of flannel. So it was now becoming a sore problem for us. So this sight upset the children very much, and they were getting a little worried. "Why doesn't it drink its milk, mother?" we whispered. Our father was still asleep. So the children were getting upset that in spite of placing a saucer in front of the rabbit still hadn't drank it, and so they are asking in a very doubtful manner to their mother. "It prefers to sulk its life away, silly little thing." Mother had pointed to a profound problem. "We put young dandelion leaves to its nose, but it took no notice, yet its eyes were bright." So the mother was she did not know what answer to give to the reply to the question to the children they were asking, and so she says that maybe it wishes to remain sad and starve itself to death. And so the mother says, now we have got a problem in our hands. The children, on the other hand, they wanted to make the little baby rabbit as comfortable as possible, and so they plucked leaves of a particular type of flower and came and placed it in front of its nose, thinking that getting the smell of the leaves, and if being familiar with the smell, it may come and it may become lively again and start drinking its milk. But then the narrator says that the rabbit did not take any notice of it, but he noticed that the eyes of the rabbit were very bright. At tea time, however, it had jumped a few inches out of its flannel, and there it sat again, uncovered, a little solid cloud of silence. Only its side moved slightly with life. So he says that when it was tea time and the children had come to have their tea, the narrator particularly noticed that the rabbit was not in its original position. It had moved a little, and it had come out from that warm flannel covering, and it now it was it resembled like a solid cloud of silence, that because maybe the fur of the rabbit was brownish, and it resembled like a cloud, but it looked like a solid cloud there. It was all sitting there silently. Darkness came. My father set off to work. The rabbit was still unmoving. Despair was settling over the sisters, a threat of tears before bedtime. Clouds of my mother's anger gathered as she murmured against my father's idea. So now it was becoming dark, and so it was time for the father to leave for his night duty. So father left for his duty, and they noticed that the rabbit was still in that same position. It was not moving about there, and so the children, they were becoming a little restless and a little upset, especially the younger sisters, and a threat of tears before bedtime. And it was almost bedtime for the children, and they were upset the with what they were seeing of the rabbit. And so they means the little sisters were almost in tears. And even the mother also started reacting. Now she also started getting angry, as she murmured against my father's idea. She was against the idea of her husband bringing this pet home. Once more the rabbit was wrapped in the old flannel, but now it was carried into the scullery and put under the copper fireplace so that it might imagine itself inside a burrow. The saucers were placed about 4 or 5 here and there on the floor, so that if the little creature should chance to jump about, it could not fail to come upon some food. After this, my mother was not allowed to take from the scullery what she wanted, and then she was forbidden to open the door. So now here the narrator, he was the one who started acting upon this situation. So what he did was, he again wrapped the rabbit in the warm piece of flannel, and then he carried this baby rabbit to the work area of the kitchen, and he placed it under the copper fireplace. Now remember, in olden times and all, not all of them had the cooking range and the gas stove and all. They used to have a fireplace. They used to cook using firewood and all. So what the narrator did, he wrapped this baby rabbit in the warm piece of flannel, and he went and he placed this rabbit under the copper fireplace, because it would remind the rabbit of being warm in its burrow. Now remember, the rabbits and all, they live in burrows. So it's saying, and the burrows would be quite warm. So thinking that it is in its warmth of its burrow, he went and placed the rabbit there. And not only he just placed the rabbit there, but also he placed 4 or 5 saucers in different places, in different positions around that area there. And then he was of the opinion that if the rabbit, feeling warm, would hop out and come, it would then know that there was food available for it, and it could come and drink the milk. And so he gave instructions to his mother that she would not be permitted to go into that room. So whatever she wanted, she was asked to take from there. And finally she was forbidden to open the door. The door was kept closed, and then he asked his mother not to open the door of that room. Now the last paragraph on that page. When morning came and it was light, I went downstairs. Opening the scullery door, I heard a slight movement. Then I saw drops of milk all over the floor, and there was a rabbit, the tops of his ears showing behind a pair of boots. It sat bright-eyed, twitching its nose and looking at me while not looking at me. So then the next morning, when the children, they came down for their breakfast, the first thing the narrator did was, he went to check in that room as to he wanted to know what had actually happened there. And so when he opened the door, he heard a slight movement, and then he saw that there were drops of milk all fallen around on the floor. So he knew that yes, the rabbit did drink the milk. And then he also saw that the rabbit was not in its place, in that place where he had placed it the previous night. In fact, the rabbit, with its ears all popped up, it was hiding behind a pair of boots that was left in that room. And when he looked at the face of the rabbit, he saw that it was bright eyed, and its nose was twitching. There was movement in its nose, and it was looking at the narrator, and while not looking at me. So the rabbit was pretending to be looking, at the same time not looking at the narrator. Coming on to page 74. He was alive, very much alive. Father, my father stopped at the door. Father, the rabbit's alive. Of course, he said. Mind how you go in. He was named Adolf, and we were enchanted by him. He was an unmixed delight. By evening, however, the little creature was tame, quite tame. So now he was alive, very much alive. So now the narrator had that satisfaction that yes, the rabbit is alive and he is moving around. And so when the father returned from work the next morning, the children, especially the narrator, he, in all his excitement, he informed his father that the rabbit is alive. And the father also assured him, yes, of course it is alive. And then he is warning his father, to just be careful how you go into that room. And then the narrator goes on to say that they did name the baby rabbit, and the name that was given to the baby rabbit was Adolf. And all of them were quite taken in by the baby rabbit. They all fell for the baby rabbit, and he was a delight to have around. Finally, the baby rabbit was by evening, that little creature was able to accept the new people that he's seen around him, because all this time he was in the wild. He led a happy-go-lucky life. He was just hopping around and moving with his mother and everything. But now here he had 5 pairs of eyes looking upon him, and so he had accepted the fact that now his life is going to be a little different from what it was before, and he was ready to accept the love and affection that was going to be showered on him by by this family, by his newly adopted family. And he was not not wild anymore. He had by evening he was almost tame, and like any tame animals, he was moving and behaving around the house. So with this, I come to the end of the explanation of this lesson. Thank you, children.